The stone walls of the St. Celeste Abbey drank the light, leaving the nave in a perpetual, dusty twilight. For Sister Marguerite, it was not a place of gloom, but of sanctuary. Here, far from the memories of a noisy, painful world, she had found a silence so profound it felt like God's own presence. And she needed that presence now more than ever. Her twin sister, Isabel, had been missing for 3 months. The official report suggested she had simply left the order, abandoning her vows. But Marguerite knew. Isabel would never have left without her. They had entered this life together, a united front against a past that sought to break them. She knelt before the simple wooden altar, her rosary beads cold and familiar in her hands. The only sound was the whisper of her prayers and the distant sigh of the wind through the cracked stained glass window. Click-clack. The sound was sharp, alien. Like two stones being struck together deep within the shadowy transept. Marguerite's head snapped up, her prayer cut short. Her heart, so soothed by the silence, now thumped a frantic rhythm against her ribs. Hello? Her voice was swallowed by the vast, empty space. Is someone there? Silence. The kind that feels like a held breath. She tried to return to her prayers, but the words felt hollow now. The air had changed. The comforting coolness had taken on a subterranean chill. The shadows in the corners of the church seemed deeper, thicker, as if they had mass and intention. She saw it then. A movement. A flutter of black against black in the choir stalls. A nun. Sitting perfectly still, her head bowed in prayer, the stark white of her wimple and cornet a brilliant contrast to the gloom. Relief washed over Marguerite. It was just one of the other sisters, come to pray. Perhaps old Sister Beatrice, who was nearly deaf and often came here at odd hours. Sister? Marguerite called out, her voice echoing slightly. You startled me. The figure did not move. Did not acknowledge her. A trick of the light, then? Marguerite squinted. The nun's habit was wrong. It was older, more severe than the modern ones their order wore. It was the habit from the old paintings, from a darker, more rigid time. And then, the figure began to turn its head. It was a slow, deliberate motion, utterly devoid of life. It wasn't the turn of a living person, but the slow, grinding pivot of a statue. Marguerite's blood turned to ice. The face that came into view was not Sister Beatrice's. It was not any sister she knew. It was a face of stark white, gaunt and skeletal. The eyes were sunken into pools of absolute blackness. And the mouth was stretched into a horrifying, rictus grin, far too wide for the face that held it. It was the face from Isabel's last, frantic letter, scrawled in a hand shaking with terror. Something is here, Margot. It wears the face of our faith, but it is unholy. It watches me from the corners. It calls itself Valak. The thing wearing her sister's face stared at her from across the church. Its black eyes held no light, no soul, only a bottomless hunger. Marguerite scrambled backward, her rosary clattering to the stone floor. She wanted to scream, but her throat was sealed shut by pure, primal terror. The figure, Valak, stood. It did not rise so much as unfold, its limbs moving with a jerky, unnatural grace. It began to glide down the steps from the choir stalls, its feet making no sound on the ancient stone. Click-clack. The sound came again, right behind her ear. Marguerite whirled around. Nothing. She turned back. The nun was closer now, much closer, standing in the center aisle. Its grotesque smile seemed to widen. It was playing with her. Hurting her. She stumbled toward the altar, the only place that felt remotely safe. She gripped the cold wood, her back to the monstrous thing, and squeezed her eyes shut, praying for real now, prayers of deliverance, prayers for protection. The chilling cold intensified. The smell of decay and old incense filled her nostrils. She felt a presence directly behind her. She could feel the cold radiating from it, smell the dust of forgotten tombs on its robes. A sound, then. Not a click, but a voice. It was a dry, rasping whisper, the sound of dead leaves skittering over stone. It was a voice she knew, twisted into something monstrous. Sister, it hissed, using Isabel's voice. You left me alone with it. Now we can be together again. Tears streamed down Marguerite's face. She couldn't look. She wouldn't. A bone-white hand, impossibly long and tipped with filth-caked nails, slid over her shoulder and rested on the altar in front of her. It pointed a single, accusing finger at a small, forgotten object lying beside the crucifix. It was Isabel's silver rosary. The final, devastating truth crushed her. Isabel hadn't run away. She had never left this church at all. Marguerite's prayers turned to a scream as the other hand descended upon her opposite shoulder, the grip like ice and iron. The nun pressed against her back, its chilling form embracing her, its wide, grinning mouth hovering beside her ear. She was not alone. She had never been alone. And the silence of the abbey was no longer God's presence. It was his absence. And something else had moved in to fill the void.